Welcome to the Vintage Times, a program for older persons. On our program today, we will talk about help that is available to locate resources for older people and their families. As we age, we often find that we have to change our current lifestyle, such as changing our housing arrangements, planning our future financing, arranging for legal documents, pre-planning our funeral, and much, much more. Last month, we told you about services provided by the DuPage County Senior Services. There are also a variety of private agencies that help. Today, we will talk about a group called Main Street Senior Resources, which is a group of experts who will help you make decisions whenever you need them or before, when we need to plan them. With me are two members of the group, Mark Smolensky and Mark Hayes. Thank you to Marks for joining us today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
And Mark, can you describe your group to us, please?
Sure. The Main Street Senior Resources is really designed to provide essential quality services to seniors and their families. That's our goal.
Yeah. And can you tell us what type of expertise do you have?
We have a full range. We have about 7 people in our group. We have realtors, attorneys, financial planners, reverse mortgages, what I do. We have oral hygienists for health. We have a senior living expert. And then we have Mark, who is a funeral director.
Okay, so your expertise is a funeral.
Is correct. Is the funeral planning, and the expertise in that coincides with either pre-arranging your services ahead of time, and also helping families at the time of a loved one's passing to make sure that they have the proper service that they would like, and if they're a veteran, that they obtain those benefits that they're entitled to.
Okay, and your expertise is in financing, right?
Correct. I work with a bank called a private bank, and I do specifically loans for seniors. We determine whether a home equity loan or a reverse mortgage or any other type of financial assistance is available. We determine that through what their goals and challenges are.
So you're two experts among a group of several experts that will help you make decisions when it's time to maybe move from your home or stay in your home and bring in help. So can you tell us about what type of decisions do I make if I can't quite deal with staying in my home right now?
Sure. I think the goal for all of us is planning and preparing. And whatever that determination is, the result of that is, then you make those plans. If you want to stay in your home, or do you want to plan on moving, it depends on a couple factors. Emotional things, medical, of course, family and friends, ability to have resources. If you live out in a farm somewhere, it might be difficult to get to resources. But if you live in Downers Grove, there's a lot of resources available, which will allow you to stay in the comfort of your home. So those decisions have to be made with a family member, planning for wills and trusts and power of attorneys. If something happens, need to think ahead, and that's what we try to do. We try to point out all those different options so you can make an educated decision.
Okay, because there's so many decisions we have to make. How important is it to plan ahead so we don't have to make a decision in a time of crisis?
I believe that's probably your best bet, is to gain the resource knowledge and educate yourself. I think that's, as Mark mentioned earlier, I believe that's probably our biggest goal, is to educate families so they're not making a snap decision or a decision under duress in a crisis situation. We're here as resources. If the nice thing about us is, as Mark may have mentioned earlier, when you contact one of us, you actually contact 7 of us, because we will sit there and listen to what your needs are, and we will tell you if we can't help you, we will refer you to one of the 7 that can help your specific situation. And the nice thing about that is that even if you contact us and we can't help you, we have the resources, because we have a network of people that can assist you and your family members with the proper services that you would need.
So one of the important decisions I have to make is I need to make a change in my housing arrangements. What type of arrangements exist if I have to leave my home?
Today, there's fortunately quite a few options that are available. Obviously, you could stay in your home, modify it. There's caregivers nowadays that really are very careful of what they can do. And also, if you do want to move, we have Carrie, who works in senior housing. She could help point out the differences between them, the costs associated with them, and the services they offer. So there's a lot of varieties today that you can do. Even modifying your home, if you have a 2-story home, to have a chairlift going up and down the stairs. But you could also move to make suites on the first level. So there's quite a few options. It depends on what your goal is. If you want to stay at home, that's fine. The longer you can, that might be more beneficial to you. If there's some other things, socialization, medical issues, then obviously you have those choices.
So Carrie will come to my home. What will she do? Will she sit down with me and listen to what I need, what I like?
Yes.
Yeah.
In our position, we work with a lot of seniors, so we listen to a lot of things. We listen to the family, we listen to the stories, and we listen to then the needs, which actually, because of listening to all those things, really concretes what their goal is. And so Carrie will come in and do a personalized assessment for that person and give them an idea what they can use and what they need.
So what services might she suggest if I want to stay at home?
Basically, she works with a lot of senior housing, so her expertise is, in her position, is to find many different locations and tell you the difference between them. There are quite a few differences out there, not only cost, but the services they provide. Future planning, as we all talk about here, is very important, because if we fall down and get hurt, or if we break a hip, or there's dementia, or unfortunately sometimes Alzheimer's, what do? Is those units and homes and those associations available to make those transitions? Some of them are just for housing, and some will make that transition into dementia or Alzheimer's if that needs to be, without moving.
So if I decide to move from my home to a senior living facility, how do I know which is the right one for me?
Once again, that's where Carrie comes in and makes the assessment with each individual family member,
Right.
because of the fact that once again, Mark mentioned the socialization, because each facility doesn't fit. It's not a one fit all person.
Right.
So that's where Carrie comes in. She has the resources and the knowledge of the different facilities out there to meet each individual family member's needs, be it financial or be it social or whatever you're looking to do. She can help you assist that, and she'd be able to give the family options to work within that.
Some are very clear. I mean, I could use my example as my parents. I mean, when my father passed away, my mother said, "I'm staying here, and that's all there is to it." She didn't want to go anywhere else. And that was her wishes. That's what she wanted. So we just made it work.
Yeah. So the family got involved.
Correct.
Okay. So now, who usually notices that there is a need to make a change?
Well, that's a variety of people, but again, family themselves, their doctors are saying that they have limited mobility or they shouldn't be driving anymore. So those questions are coming sometimes, or decisions are coming from their doctor due to medical. Sometimes people will just say, I don't want to night drive anymore because it's very difficult. So those decisions are made usually from first the person who's living at home. Probably their doctors and their family members are the key factors in making those decisions. A lot of times the family will notice in advance, well in advance, and will confirm with the doctor, and then the doctor will say that, you know, mom or dad shouldn't drive no more, or
Right.
whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's the senior themselves that are making that decision, because once again, that's the biggest thing is we want to make sure that the senior is involved in their decision,
Right.
because that makes them more comfortable,
Of course.
and it becomes as Mark was saying, it also becomes a safety issue for the senior. We want them to feel comfortable in their own surrounding, and not only emotional, socialized, but safety as well, so that there's not a fall issue, as Mark mentioned. You know, you don't want to fall and break your hip.
Okay.
You want to be safe and secure, and you want the family members to have that feeling as well, that
Right.
they don't have to worry as much about their loved
Okay.
one.
So if it is a senior, if I notice I need a change, please talk to someone. If you
Correct.
have family here, talk to your family. If you don't, talk to your physician, talk to a group of local business people who will help you. Call us at the township. Talk to someone. Now,
Talk to your neighbors. Talk to
your
talk to, especially if you're living alone. Talk to your neighbors to at least
Right.
see what they can
what's
recommend.
available.
So
How does the senior feel once they know they can't continue with the same lifestyle? What do they go through? How do they feel?
in my experience with dealing with families, there is some let go. There's some anger issues because they can't perform like they used to.
Right.
They get upset with themselves,
Right.
and that's a natural feeling as we grow older, because
Right.
everybody wants their independence as long as they can have it,
That's right.
and their cognitivity as long as they can have it. But it's also, I think people are realizing as they do grow older that they can't do everything anymore. So if they get to that point, have that conversation. That's the biggest thing. Once again, that's, I think, what we're stressing here, is to have that conversation so that you can find the resources that can assist you and make your life comfortable and continue on the way you want, the best you can.
Right.
With the
It's
resources
not
that are
easy.
available.
It's
Correct.
not easy, but it's important to think ahead, plan ahead.
Correct.
What are the advantages of planning ahead?
Well, in
Cost savings.
cost savings,
Just
from
planning ahead.
from my standpoint, it's if you arrange your funeral ahead of time, there's some cost benefits as far as a guarantee. If you prepay for it, it guarantees the price going forward. So if you pay for it in today's dollars with me, you live another 15 years. I have to do the funeral for what you paid for it
Okay.
at today. So that's a huge cost savings, because as you know, everything goes up in life. So we don't go down in price. So
Yeah,
unfortunately,
right.
so.
Well, I work with the reverse mortgages a lot, and planning ahead, I think what you're balancing your financial situation through your investments, your checking and savings, and it's like anything else. You have the time to shop. You want to shop for certain services and how to use your money, and talking with your financial advisor. I mean, how many times we've all talked to our financial advisor when the market has gone down and they say, don't take it out. But if you're living from that money, from your investments, for example, we have Eric, who's in our financial group. He's an advisor, a financial advisor, and he will be there to be able to tell you when and when not to take money out of an account. Hindsight, the reason because of that is saving your money. But if you don't take it out of your account because the market has gone down, where do you take it? You need to have access to funds all the time. So that's why they use, a lot of the times the financial planners will use a reverse mortgage to have that line of credit for that cushion. So time not to take it out of the investments and where do you go? You got to have money.
Right.
You got to have the
Right.
services. You got to have a caregiver or someone to cut the grass, someone to shovel your snow.
Right.
What do you do when all those things happen?
What about legal planning? How important is it to have a trust, a will, and
Those are probably
Enormously.
enormously important, as Mark said.
Yeah.
But I mean, you want to make sure that you have a will. You also want to make sure that you have a power of attorney for health care and also a power of attorney for finance, so that if something were to happen to you, someone can continue on and make those decisions for you. But not only have those paperwork, but have that conversation about what your wishes are, especially regarding health care, what your wishes are
Right.
for your continuation of your health care. And then for finance, that someone is able to continue to pay your bills so you can stay at home, you can take care of those things to keep your life.
and it's a comfort to you
Correct.
Yes.
and your family to know documents are issued, my finances are planned, my funeral is planned,
Correct.
and it's important to talk about
It's
it.
a peace of mind issue.
Yeah.
Those are documents that are generated to make it a peace of mind issue.
Yeah.
It makes it much more simple. You can rest assured that all of everything is in place. As they say, all your ducks are in a row.
Right.
You've got that done. So
Right.
hopefully that makes it much easier as you're going through those situations. And it's easier for not only for you as the senior, you're comfortable with that, but it's also comforting for your family to know that everything is in place. Usually when you prepare those documents, you get a binder, you put that binder somewhere, or you
In a
give it
safe
to a
place.
family member in a safe place. So they know if the situation happens, they pull that binder out, they have everything listed to contact the person that they need to take
Right.
care of whatever that situation is.
Generally, a lot of people don't know that, but the power of attorney is only really good when you're alive. It doesn't do much beyond that, but I did learn something from Mark and through our attorneys that what do you do after someone passes away? The power of attorney technically isn't in effect, except for a special one that Mark was talking about that has to do with burial issues. But when you sell the house or need to get into the bank account and things like that, what do you do? And you got to have that plan because your kids or whoever is going to take care of you or the heirs are going to have to do things with everything, and they got to have the legal right to do that, and sometimes they don't. If anything, just having those trusts and wills in order makes it a lot easier for your family.
and
It's
they
very
know
difficult.
where to find them.
Correct.
Now, do these documents have to be updated every so often?
They should be, yes. They should be, especially if you move residence, you need to update that so that it assures that you're showing the proper residency location for the person. And the document that Mark was discussing is what's called the power of attorney for healthcare. And the phraseology that you want to make sure that's involved in that is what's called the right of disposition, which allows your agent that you present to make those healthcare decisions. It gives them, upon your passing, it gives them the right to make your funeral arrangements,
Okay.
which makes it much more easier
more
for the
easier.
At
family.
least having that is,
Right.
is
Especially
key.
if you're a senior with no other family members.
Right.
If you grant whoever that agent is that right, then you can rest assured that your funeral arrangements
And
can
this
be made.
is all
Stated by
in
the
power.
Kevin, our attorney, would do
Yeah.
that
Right.
and make sure that that phrase is
Yeah.
put in there, and that makes it much more easier for me to do my job,
Right.
and it makes it easier and less frustrating for the family members we deal
So
with.
what this power of attorney for health care does, it designates an agent that makes decisions on my behalf.
Correct.
Right? And
Correct.
they're all stated.
It's
in
all
the
stated there, correct.
It-
And then in my case, upon your passing, it allows that person to make the arrangements for your funeral services.
Now, we talked before, you mentioned the VA.
Yes, ma'am.
That there are many services that the VA
That is
helps
correct.
with. What are they?
The main one for a veteran is that they are allowed to be, as long as they're honorably discharged from the service, which 99% of the service members are, they get a free burial, either themselves, their spouse, or if they have a special needs child, out at Abraham Lincoln, our national cemetery, which is located out in Elwood, Illinois. And Abraham Lincoln is actually the second largest cemetery in the National Cemetery System behind Arlington National Cemetery. So
That's in Illinois.
In Illinois,
Correct.
for the seniors watching this, if they're familiar with what used to be the Joliet Arsenal during the back in the day, that's what the ground was. It was turned into a Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, and that's where the interment can be done for them. They're entitled to a free grave, a free headstone for both themselves and their spouse, and as I said, if they have a special needs child, their child could be interned out there as well. And it's not only for an in-ground burial, it can also be for cremated remains as well.
Now, also, the VA has a program that helps veterans financially and
Correct.
with home health care.
They have
right?
their aid and assistance program, which would allow them, depending on their situation, they have to check with the VA, but depending on the situation, it will allow them, if they needed a caregiver to come in, or what's called a respite worker to come in to give aid so that their other family members could go out and run errands and take a break. They can have that come in, and it's usually for about 4 or 5 hours a day. That they could help, but they would need to check with their local VA, or the veteran, or the VFW also has what they call their benefits director or benefits program person, and they would be able to assist the veteran and the veteran's family.
That's
with
very
that.
important to know.
So when you're
because-
looking for your services,
Yeah.
those are the places to go to.
Okay.
Hannah, one of the challenges we work with seniors, and I see specifically in the financial side of things, because it's a big part of the picture, is how long are we going to have the money available?
Right.
But how importantly is how we're going to make it last.
Right.
Using veterans assistance and using other sources that are available that may be free, making that money, that pool of money that you have, last longer.
That's
it really
a big
comes
worry.
down.
Correct.
It is. Financial is a big worry. One of the things that I get from a lot of my clients that I work with that I do complete a reverse mortgage for, they have a big breath of refreshment, and they go, it's a peace of mind.
Right.
Because now they have a financial puzzle that's been very difficult to work with, and putting it together and having it set up with their financial planners, with their attorneys, and having a pool of money that's accessible to them with no terms. There's a lot of concerns about reverse mortgages, and people worry about them. But when you're educated, and that's what we try to do, Mark and I and this 5 other people in our group, we do educate. We don't charge any fees up front for anything we do. Consultations don't cost anything. You're welcome to always sit down with us and have a conversation with themselves or their family and make decisions based on whatever information they need. So education is really a big part of
That's
this.
so important, because you're right, Mark. People worry about finances. I don't know how long I'm going to live.
Correct.
Will my money last?
Correct.
How do I allocate the money? So
Right.
you help me make all these calculations and
Yes.
decisions. So we have to be concerned with finances, with funeral planning, with legal issues, health issues.
Correct.
Housing is a big one.
Correct. And that's the nice thing about the group that we have. We have experts in each of those fields that are willing to assist a family, either the senior themselves or the family member, when they're inquiring on that.
One of the other things we haven't really mentioned too is, we're talking always about the quality of life
Right.
and independence for anybody. That's my goal in life. Someday I want to create my independence. I want to have a quality of life, which I've already discussed with my wife. And the key things is that, for example, health is extremely important, and we try to do as much as we can. We do have someone in our group also that does provide oral hygienist,
Okay.
oral cleaning. And it's through talking with her, it's been amazing that Mary can educate us also on just a weekly cleaning. And she gave us this gum that was wonderful, that cleans certain things. That oral health is extremely important today, from what I understand. There was a guy in the news that just passed away because of some cavity that he had, that it got through the bloodstream and caused infection internally.
Right.
So none of these things are ever taken lightly, but we try to educate in regards to what we do. We have events and things like that we do.
And what's important, you come to my home.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll come to your home, or you can come to our office if you're able to, but we'll be more than happy to come to your home and sit down and
Right.
speak with you and your loved ones.
We do make house calls.
Yes. And we're not a doctor, so.
Well, that's very important. So someone will come to my home.
Correct.
Often it's Carrie or a social
Correct.
person.
Right.
They will listen to me. They will ask me questions. They will get to know me. And they may recommend you as a financial advisor, you as a help
Correct.
with funerals and knowledge about the VA.
Correct. We each have our individual expertise,
Yeah,
so that's
okay.
where we
Okay.
will pick out what we can do and make sure that that person and their family has the proper expertise
I think-
given to them.
I think one of the key things to have everybody understand too, that when we're working with seniors, decisions aren't made today.
Right.
It's not a decision that you're going to make tomorrow. So we understand it. We work as consultants. We provide information, educate what is available, and it may take a week, it may take 2 years for someone to make a decision. In my world, working with reverse mortgages, it is a decision that you look at more as a long-term plan.
Right.
It's part of the planning, and making a long-term plan sometimes takes time to think about what's best and doing your homework. And so there's no obligation is what I guess I'm
Right.
trying to say. We just try to provide information.
It's
And-
a process.
Correct, and that,
It
I was
is.
just going to say, it's a process, and we'd rather have you make an educated process and be educated throughout that process, and then finally make a decision, but at least you're making it from an educated point of view.
That's so important. So it's very important to know that help is available. You understand the emotional impact that the change may have on me, and you help me along the way.
We try to, yes.
Thank you. So, is there anything else of importance you'd like to add?
I think that as a group, it's unique to have a group of people that know each other, we're all like-minded, have the same goals and interests to help an individual get from point A to point B, whatever that goal is, whatever their wishes are. And so whether it's today here living in this world and making the most of it, quality of life, to, you know, all the different facets of what we do offer. So the key thing is that we're here as a resource, we're here to improve your quality of life and keep you as independent as possibly as can.
Very good,
You
Mark.
summed that up very well. I'll leave it to that.
Well, thank you, Mark, and thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
us.
it.
We appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. And thank you for joining us today. And we hope you will remember how important it is to plan ahead. Think of what changes you may want to make in your lifestyle. It's overwhelming, so help is available. You can contact people at this group, which is called Main Street Senior Resources. The phone number is 630-324-6666. And we will give you more information on the screen. They also are part of Facebook. So thank you again for joining us today.